This is the tutorial for exercise 20C, Year 2 CAD. Okay, our instructions are to open our Border A file. So that's either in your Year 1 folder, and if you don't have that, it's in this year's class in SAM, our course folder, class 1. You'll find it in there. Okay, so open Border A, draw the objects below on their proper layers, dimension using linear, radius, and diameter. Use class style dimensioning and save as exercise 20C. So I'll show you how to get your class style dimensioning back without recreating the whole thing. Okay, so I have exercise Border A opened, and I've just resaved it. I'm going to save it here as the proper number. Save as exercise 20C. Okay. I also have, I went back and I opened my lesson 16 file from last year. So in this one, we have our, right here, sorry, class style dimensioning. Now, if you don't have class style dimensioning in your Border A for some reason, I'm going to show you how to get it in there without recreating the whole thing. So I'm going to go to something called Design Center. So go to your View tab, go to the Palettes panel, and right here there's a button, Design Center. So what you can do with Design Center, it'll show you what drawings you have open. So it lets you share things between files. So if you create something in one file, you don't have to recreate it for another file. So if you made a whole bunch of layers, you can drag them over to another file. So you have to have files open that you want to use. So I have 16 and 20 open. So we can do blocks, views, dimension styles, layers, layouts, all these different things. So we want dimension styles. So I want to take my class style, dimension style, out of lesson 16 and drag it over into my exercise 20 that I have open and drop it. So now if I look in my exercise 20 dimension styles, I have 2 class style dimensions now, because I did originally have one, but when I dragged that over, it added the second one. So you can do that with layers, like I said, so that you don't have to recreate things. If you have something in one file, you can always drag it over to another. Okay, so just remember that's called Design Center. It's on your View tab and here in your Palettes panel, or you can type in Add Center. Okay, so let's get started on exercise 20C. Okay, layers, we want our object line layer, we'll need a center line layer, and we'll need our dimension layer. Okay, so let's do our object first. And I'm going to turn on my F8. And it says our first line is 2. And we want to put in, I'm going to put in that circle in the center. That's what I'm going to do first, actually. I'm going to take that line out that I just made. Okay, so I'm going to start with the circle. So the circle has a diameter of 1. And then we have another big arc on the top with a radius of 1, and it has the same center line as that circle. So come in there, type in 1, right? And now I am going to go from the quadrant point, that, and come down 2. And I'm going to do the same thing on the other side, quadrant point. But I'm only going to come down 2 minus 0.775. So let's check our calculator, just make sure we get it right. 2 minus 0.775. 1.225. Okay, so line okay, and first point I'm going to go quadrant, and we said it was 1.225. And I'm going to come over, turn on my tracking, come over to here, and come up. There's other ways you can do this, but this is just the way I'm doing it. And offset that little line by 1. And you didn't have to draw that little corner in, because we know from the geometry that it's actually halfway in the middle. So you could have skipped that part. Anyway, and then I'm going to trim out these circles there. I'm going to go to my center line layer, and I want to put a center mark in my circle. And then we want to dimension. We have our class style turned on. Dimension layer. So we've only got a couple of dimensions to add here. 2, 1. And remember to dimension to the ends of the lines. Diameter, and we want a radius. Remember to use real dimensions, not the quick dimensions. And I want to get rid of my center marks on those 2 dimensions, my radius and my diameter. So I'm going to select them both. Right click, go into properties, go to my lines and arrows section. I'm just closing the rest of this to make it easier to see. All right, center mark, none. Okay, so we have our dimensions, our center lines. Okay, that's everything. So let's save it. Exercise 20C, and that is ready for the Dropbox.